All right, so this is the question segment. And a lady asked, oh, by the way, when you have questions about manifesting, eventually I'll do a little opening segment about questions so that I can post my own video about it on YouTube and put that on my site and use that for when people have questions. Most of your questions about manifesting have been answered directly by Neville. Furthermore, you have infinite intelligence with you at all times, so you always have access to those answers. But if you're not used to yet manifesting answers to questions, it's really easy to Google it and find that Neville already answered it. A lot of the most common questions are answered in the Q&A segment of 5 lessons. Like if you've just found manifesting and you manifested a couple things, but you're like, well, how does this work? How does that work? Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. Go read the Q&A of 5 lessons. I guarantee like your top 5 questions are answered there. Like no doubt. Your top questions are answered in that. And this is a really cool common question. How can I know the difference between if I am daydreaming or if I have a real inner conversation? And Neville says, well, my dear, try it. You start with a daydream anyway. The dress you're wearing had first to be imagined. People call all imagination a dream. It first was only imagined before it became what the world calls a fact. What is now known as something proven was first only imagined. The building we are in here, all the buildings in the city were only imagined. And all the workers that seem to be the active instruments to put them up, they are the unconscious instruments of men who only dreamed. The architects, they had their blueprint in their dream. And the workmen, they come out, all right, they are doing their job, they seem so active, but they're simply the unconscious instruments of those men of imagination. You go into battle, thousands are falling. They are the unconscious instruments of the men who plot the war. Let me see if there's any other questions. No, I think it just moves to the next one, yeah. My personal answer to that, so when he says here you start with a daydream anyway, Neville will address in the books and other lectures the idea between construction and occupancy. So like he says that specifically one of the reasons for failure is what he calls perpetual construction and delayed occupancy. So to give a really great concrete example of that, and I'm doing it, like if say you want to renovate your house and you're constantly thinking about, well, I could do that, I could try that, and looking at all different stuff on the internet and catalogs that you might try in your renovation and trying to visualize it and thinking about it. And you can do this for years, I have done, but you never at one point assume I'm in my new totally renovated house. Like you never really relax into that scene and walk around it like it's yours now, like you're already there, like the renovation's already done. You never do that. You're always changing it around and finding new things, and maybe some of them might accidentally, like you might end up manifesting doing those little side projects in the meanwhile, but you never really occupy what it would be like to walk around the totally renovated house. Same thing you could do. You could definitely do this with a job or a relationship too. Like you could spend so much time thinking about all the nice things you could do together, but never for 1 second decide that you are the person who now has this relationship and now does these things with this specific partner. Like you could just delay that forever. Same with your prosperity. Like you could daydream about having lots of money, but never truly identify with being a wealthy person and never really change your thoughts, never have these inner conversations with other people where you tell them how well you're doing. So that's the difference that he's alluding to now. But the thing that I've experienced personally is that I have had daydreams manifest, which is why now I try to be really careful with all my thoughts, though I'm far from 1,000% on it, daydreams definitely do manifest in my experience. And the more you pay attention to your thoughts, you're going to notice that too. That's why whenever you notice you're having one of these conversations with a friend or with a family member mentally about what's going on in your life, start controlling it. Start bringing it putting it into the future putting it in the place where you've already got what you want and you're talking to them from that perspective. You're not talking to them about you're still doing job interviews and you're still broke and all of that. You're talking to them about your new job and how much you love it or how much money you have coming in. And when it comes to your relationship, you're not talking about they're not talking to me or, whatever other relationship complaints you have. No, you're talking about things are going great between us. Oh my God, he or she or they are so sweet to me all the time. We're so in love. You're talking about that stuff. Just whenever you catch yourself mentally having those conversations, shift it to a conversation that you want to have. And so the practical exercises for this week is do this. Come on, do it. What's stopping you? Pick one thing and do